department, and today I'm glad to introduce you all Ivey, and he's a Master of Nutrition student, and today he's going to talk about the effects of probiotics on athletic performance.
How's it going, guys? My name is Ivey. I am a graduate student here, and I work with the Strength and Conditioning department for athletics. So today we'll be looking at the impact of probiotics on exercise performance as a whole. And so the research article that I chose was the International Society of Sports Nutrition, their position stand on probiotics. So as you can see, all the authors right there. And then, so the purpose of this research, that was really to provide an objective and comprehensive review of the use of probiotic supplementation on athletic performance, health, and the recovery. And so to kind of summarize that research quickly, so they found that probiotics are live microorganisms that when administered in adequate amounts, they provide a health benefit on the host. This administration has been linked to a multitude of health benefits, primarily with gut and immune health being the most researched. And then despite this existence of shared mechanisms for the probiotic function, the health benefits are going to be both strain and dose dependent. And then lastly, in athletic populations specifically, probiotic strains can help to reduce the number of episodes, severity, and duration of immune depression within those athletes. So now to kind of look at the overall problem that they were trying to solve, really it was just that nobody had really done any comprehensive studies of probiotics on a whole on athletes. Many of the studies that had been done before were all just single strain dependent, and they really didn't look at multiple strains and how those had effects on athletic performance. So then the hypothesis that they come up with was that if an athlete takes an appropriate strain and dosage of these probiotics, then they will experience a variety of positive health effects, including improved body composition and lean mass, and then improved responses to physical or mental stressors, as well as an increased neurotransmitter synthesis in cognition and mood. So now I'll kind of review some of the literature that was cited throughout this research article. The first one I chose was the International Scientific Association for Probiotics and Prebiotics Consensus Statement on the Scope and Appropriate Use of the Term Probiotics. So this was a pretty big one that they cited multiple times, and they were able to use it to correctly define what exactly probiotics are and how they can positively benefit the gut health and immune function. So next we'll look at the dietary supplements for health, adaptation, and recovery in athletes. So this was another important one because it was used to show the direct benefits of probiotic supplementation within athletes specifically. Specifically regarding the increase in defense against upper respiratory tract infections, which are going to be common with that immune depression that athletes experience. And then lastly, I looked at the oral administration of the probiotic Lactobacillus fermentum and mucosal immunity and endurance athletes specifically. So this was another good one that they cited that showed the effect of probiotics on athlete performance and specifically showed improvements in exercise performance while using these probiotic strains. So now I'll get into the role of exercise on an athlete's gut microbiome. So there's a number of things that can kind of affect that microbiome, including age, genetics, drug use, stress, smoking, and especially the athlete's diet or the person's diet. These are all going to affect that gut microbiome. And so if you kind of look at that image, the guy on the left, he's going to be someone who has good exercise habits, good diets, and then the guy on the right is going to be more of a sedentary individual. So, maybe he doesn't work out all that often and doesn't have the best diet. So you can see directly just how those two things kind of impact that gut microbiome within those individuals. So next we'll go ahead and look at the role of diet on the athlete's gut microbiome. So diet is a very established modulator of this gut microbiome, and we can even see changes within 24 hours in that gut microbiome just with a simple dietary modification. So it's a good indicator of kind of how that gut microbiome is doing as a whole. And then protein is another strong one that's a good modulator and shows us kind of how that diversity is looking. And then the little graph or chart on the right is just showing some good popular foods that are rich in probiotics. So for example, yogurt, miso, kombucha, kefir, sauerkraut, just all good, great sources of probiotics. And then we'll look at some of the specific benefits of probiotic supplementation within athletes. So the biggest one is going to be how the probiotics help to increase defenses against upper respiratory tract infections. Like I said earlier, those are very common within that training load that these athletes are experiencing. It just kind of beats down on that immune system, so probiotics have been shown to really help increase those defenses against those illnesses. And then we will look at the effects of performance from probiotic supplementation. So the main ones here that supplementation has been found to increase is going to be VO2 max, aerobic power, training load, as well as time to exhaustion within those workouts. And then as well as within muscle damaging resistance exercise, it was found that probiotics can help expedite and speed up that recovery process, as well as decrease soreness overall within those muscles. And so now we will look at the effects of probiotics on the immune system as a whole. So like I said, athletes kind of compromise their immune system with all the high level of training that they're experiencing, which can increase their risk for illnesses such as those upper respiratory tract infections. So overall, the current body of evidence indicates that there's not a huge benefit of probiotics during intense training, but more so more of a benefit for improving and increasing that defense against those illnesses and upper respiratory tract infections. And so as you can see on that chart on the right, 70 to 80% of your immune system resides in that gut. So that's why these probiotics are such a huge, can have such a huge impact on that gut. And then your body has over 100 trillion beneficial bacteria within your body, as well as the GI tract has over 1,000 different species of microorganisms, all of which are designed to help your overall health and wellness. So lastly, we will look at this chart right here. So as you can kind of see, prevalence is on the left with different diseases on the bottom. And so the lighter blue is going to be groups that were not exposed to probiotics, whereas the darker blue is going to be groups that were exposed to probiotics. So you can kind of see that with the use of those probiotics in each of those diseases, there was significant difference. So you could see that those probiotics did help quite a bit to decrease the prevalence of those diseases. And then lastly, just to kind of sum everything up, so regular consumption of these specific probiotic strains can help to assist with immune function and also reduce the number of sick days an athlete may experience within their training or competition. They can also help to reduce the severity of respiratory infection and GI disturbances whenever those occur. And then probiotics benefits are always going to be strain dependent and dose dependent. So really important there, as well as they'll help to improve gut barrier function, nutrient absorption, recovery, and performance within those athletes. And then as always, athletes are always going to be encouraged to use clinically researched strains that have validated benefits matching those of which they're trying to see within themselves. So with that, thank you guys for your time. Any questions or anything?
Should we be drinking kefir?
Yep. Can't hurt you. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way to test your gut biome to see what you actually need and what you don't?
Yeah, so the best way to go about that would be probably to see a nutritionist. They'd have I know they have some tests they can run, but off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Is there, just out of curiosity, is there a certain brand or type of probiotics that you recommend, or do you know about
So brand-wise, I don't think that matters as much. Just those different like yogurt, miso, kefir, sauerkraut. Those are kind of some of the main groups you can find it in, but I know there's a lot others as well. Does that help? Yes.
Just one thing, like you mentioned probiotic and the exercise, there is a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned here the muscle redevelopment or something like that. Is there any other particular thing is helping during the exercise?
Exercise-wise,
Yeah.
so they found very little significance that it did improve with like intense exercise. They did, however, find an increased VO2 aerobic capacity, so I think it helps more on that side of things rather than just your overall exercise.
Okay, one more quick. In the data that's showing the blue and that one, so is data has anything with the exercise or like is
So increased exercise is also going to help decrease those risks for those diseases. This is just an additional way where you can kind of help decrease those risks.
thank you.
All right, thank you guys.